So Traffic here, sitting in Plat 1, playing some Sojourn Defense Paraiso. We probably won't have time to go over both rounds, so we're going to be looking at defense first. Yeah, Sojourn received some quote-unquote nerfs, but I believe she's still in a very strong spot. She is more about the primary fire or the projectile spam, does more damage, charges faster now, as well as her ultimate does faster charge rates, but she no longer one-shot headshots, which debatably isn't that big of a deal considering how strong her primary fire is now and how fast she does build her railgun anyway. But yeah, some other mild nerfs that happened that I don't think make too many major changes. The biggest thing now is I think she has better uptime, which is crazy. E commitment there, no reason to do it. Would rather see you use that. So E, unironically, is one of your better safety tools. What an E could do for you right now is prevent this Genji walking up on you, so would see a little bit more caution there. Shooting into a deflecting Genji. Alright, this is now the roast traffic hour. Dealing with the Doomfist. I don't like the way we're turning our back to the enemy like this, especially since we just saw this Genji. If we are reacting to this Doomfist defensively, it should come with a defensive movement, moving back here, so we isolate our angle. While this doesn't isolate the angle that we're exposed to, it isolates the angle that we're looking at. So at the very least, you can react. Yeah, not even a second in, we're starting the roast. Don't worry, Traffic. We're here. We're speed running the roasts. At the very least, you can react to more things by turning this way that we're exposing our backs to right now. So we don't know that there's probably now a Lucio on top of us. We don't know how fast or how much the Genji is committing, or any cooldowns that they're using, things like that. Thankfully, the Doomfist goes down almost immediately, so it doesn't matter that much, but still unnecessary exposure. This is now showing why this position is a little bit weak because of all of these angles we're now exposed to. But we're going to be doing okay because we did kill the Doomfist, and we got our supports up here nice and comfy. The enemy team is doing a good job of spreading out their threats with the Tracer, Genji, and Doomfist. We could be doing little things here. So in this time that we've taken down the Doomfist, we could, in theory, look for a mild form of aggression here to try and get a pick. Look for a mild form of aggression here to try and force the Tracer out, if not kill her. And that would help ease the tension when the Doomfist comes in next. So what we're doing here is, so here's the line in the sand, right? Here's them versus us. So unless we do anything to sort of like push this area back or like retake more areas of this map, this is now their starting point. Whereas before, this was their starting point. So they've already, even though they lost that previous engage, they've taken more of the map. And when we had an opportunity to punish them when their Doomfist was down, we didn't. We opted into very passive positions. And we're not making aggressive plays to leverage our numbers advantage. So it's going to stay like this until they engage next, and then all of a sudden it might be all the way down here, or down here, or around the point, and things like that. So this is, I will say, up until this point. Now it's too late to do it. But up until this point, I would have liked to see you try and force this Tracer out. Oh, excuse me. Because there's more we can be doing in our downtime here. Don't hit that Disruptor shot. Unfortunately, it does charge Doomfist's punch, it looks like. Don't like that slide. Pre-firing is good there. Unfortunately, with the new fall off rate, there's a good defensive thing, but it comes too late, and our slide just came up. So little nitpicky things here. I'm going to be super nitpicky, Traffic, because we're homies. Should have been pre-firing more often. Didn't need to commit the Disruptor shot here. Shouldn't have slided here, and should have been ready to back out more interestingly, because we all backed up into this corner. You are Sojourn. You can back out in more unique ways. You can do things like flip the map over here. You can back out down this way and create an off angle from your supports. You could even back out this way and then try to retake this way once the Doom commits and things like that. But the biggest thing we did here was we burned cooldowns without purpose. We lost our rail charge because we weren't pre-firing, and then we didn't have an opportunity to play the game because, once again, the enemy's starting with more space, they can commit more aggressively into that space, and we didn't have an escape plan once they were committed. We have lots of good resources as Sojourn to get away from that level of commitment, but we wasted them, and we made ourselves vulnerable. And that's going to spell first point gone. And I'm out of water. That's okay, we still got plenty of map. Standard position here. This Doom is going off. I'm not sure if you intentionally did that, but that was a nice little slide. Could have gotten that kill there with the little bit more precision, but that's okay. Yeah, this is good. Defensive positioning. Got a good angle here. We're probably looking to play off of our hog, so we're just kind of waiting for him to be in position. This is the power of having cooldowns available. Enemies commit aggressive resources. We commit defensive resources. We trade favorably. We kill a Doomfist. There we go. And we react defensively again to a pulse bomb. And we stabilize. Well done. I like this angle a lot. The only thing I don't like about this angle is realistically, this is the best angle that your Ashe could take. Theoretically, you could take a more aggressive angle like over here or over here, and you would be more safe doing that than your Ashe would be. I don't think that's a good idea in this game per se, mainly because we're still trying to play off Hog, and we're still kind of just waiting for Hog to become more relevant. But if you were theoretically trying to force double angles, your Ashe can't do anything but play here safely. She could try to play up here, but then if she gets pushed, she's useless for the rest of the fight. Whereas because of your mobility, you have slightly more interesting options, so you can take slightly more interesting positions. Good pressure here, but unfortunately it's costing us a little bit of HP. These are good defensive reactions. Unfortunately, they had more ult pressure and they found more instant value. Only way we turn that is if we instantly kill the Genji, I think, or we find value before they get in position to blade. More than anything, I'm going to flame PSF for not being more proactive as Hog. He's not there to hold space, he's there to threaten space before they're able to commit. But that's okay. Nice burn down on the Tracer. Nice forced ult on the Doomfist. Very aggressive playmaking on the Genji here. Can we finish it? Yes, we can. A little bit scary, but you knew you had numbers advantage there, so I'll look past that one. Unfortunately, they did cap second point, so we're not going to be able to hold too aggressively here. This is a little worrying. So, here's the thing. We have lost the point already. While we did clean up some kills, it's now pre-fight before the next fight, right? Before the next fight hasn't happened yet. They're still waiting on spawns. They're still waiting to push in. They might have ultimates to use. We might have ultimates to use. By forcing a really aggressive position like this, look at how spread out our resources are, and look how little we're threatening, right? You can't threaten anything unless you go all the way out here. And then if they push out your Zarya right now, you're in a really weak position. Sure, for the first like half a second, you can shoot for free, but then you're forced immediately to slide back. What we're not doing right now is we're not playing the map for time. And we're playing a defensive point right now. We are pre-fight before the attackers have to regroup and try to pressure us. So what happens if we spread ourselves too aggressively and too thin right here is that they have a much easier opportunity to force us out one by one. They can do things like, very simply, 5-man rotate over here, ignoring you and the Zarya, and probably getting a kill on a Kiriko. They can do things like sending Genji or Tracer to outduel you, which should work in their favor in close range, or even like Doomfist could come do this, and then you're forced to burn cooldowns, and then you won't have them for the fight again. So, while I like the idea of posturing aggressively here, it's not a good area of the map to do so. And this is not only on you, but you are contributing to the problem. Whereas if you were playing safer in a position like this, because realistically, we're not going to be pushing past this choke. We don't need to be ready for a fight out here. This is not a position to be doing this. If we had just gotten like 3 kills and we're looking to snowball the other 2, sure, but that's not really the case anymore. And on top of all that, we committed cooldowns over here. We committed our slide to get this position, not just stabilize this position. So the potential for being forced out here is very strong, and then the potential for being in a weak position mid-fight, like we are right here, is also very strong. It's too easy for them to get on top of you, too easy for them to stop you from doing what you want to do. And we are okay now thanks to the Kiriko ult, but realistically, we're not doing what we want to be doing, which is being able to see as many targets as we can, and shooting who we choose to shoot rather than who pops up first on our screen. If we were in a position back here, we could be having an off angle, we could be looking for a Sojourn ult relatively safely because we still have this way to kite back with our shift. If we were positioned up here, we would have open sight lines to these people who are trying to push through us. We wouldn't be using the Kiriko ult, granted, and I guess we could still be looking for a Q here, but we'd have to commit a little bit more blindly. So our pre-fight position there was a little bit weak, and eventually we do go down because we don't find an opportunity to go aggressive to warrant that position. Nice little sleep from our Ana, that might help stabilize. Psych, EDM misses the headshot.
They won't quit, neither will I.
Hey Corey, hey Trey, welcome back Ogara. How you guys doing? We're roasting traffic right now. Some nice kills will help stabilize. The good news is, anytime attackers take trades like that, it's usually a bad sign for the attackers. Again, we're opting for this position, which is optimistic at best. Again, I'm not going to go into all the reasons like we already did, but again, it's much more likely for you to be forced out or to give up an advantage right here than for you to find one. And arguably, it's much more likely for that situation. Like, so you see what just happened there? You were forced to move defensively, and then the Doom was able to chase you down, rather than the Doom committing onto you and you were able to react to that and stay at arm's reach. So that's what we're missing out on, the ability to react defensively. And again, look at our mid-fight positioning here. We're on the payload, and we're surrounded by enemy members, and we're not able to choose our targets effectively. Still very possible we win this fight because we have some good mechanics, but this is not a comfortable position. Oh, very close to killing the Doom. Just kidding, we got him. And now we're forced to play the rest of this fight very reactively. Thankfully, the enemy team is coiling in one by one and on split targets, so we're able to clean them up. But this is not a team fight we're going to win thanks to the way we played or the way we positioned. This is a team fight we're going to win thanks to our mechanics and thanks to our ability to outlast the enemy. More than anything there, they failed their dive rather than we did a good job absorbing it. And it's fine to go for like pre-fire poke and stuff like that. Granted, it is harder to keep charge now that it's down to 5 seconds instead of 8. But more important than that is your mid-fight, is your opportunities to find valuable damage during the situation where both teams are committing. This is a great example of good positioning, the power of good positioning. You're able to see more members as they approach. You get a little bit of poke damage, but that's not what's important right now. What's important right now is 5 people are trying to get on top of you and kill you, and you get to say no to that because you have good enough positioning to get away from them, and you haven't even used a cooldown yet. You still have your slide available. You could even use your slide to get re-aggressive. Yeah. Now that you found a kill from your Ashe, granted, it maybe wasn't the right time to go back aggressive because it was still only you that could fight up there, but it was an option available to us, and it looks like it's going to pay off. Again, our mid-fight positioning needs work. We are kind of making it work because we're finding kills and we're ulting, but we shouldn't ever be in the middle and turning our backs to enemies like that when we can avoid it. Sometimes it happens, but we'd rather avoid it. Unfortunately, the team is staggering out now. Approaching the fight like this, we are in a situation where it's kind of still a mid-fight, so we don't need perfect positioning here, but there's still no reason to give up potential positioning. We don't know exactly what we're walking into. Right now, we just see the Genji. I would rather see you just coming up here. Just even like committing slide, like getting into a position like this and then working slow, rather than working up here and almost guaranteeing that you don't get to choose your targets. But we have our slide available to back up for a little bit of space at least. Yeah, unfortunately we just get snowballed a little bit. Continue getting snowballed. Tori, I would, but I'm out of water. I'm sorry. Oh, damn, they're going to cap off that. So, what did we do wrong? We didn't leverage enough advantage positionally by the time the enemy was able to leverage advantage number-wise. So, our job as defenders, every time there's a team fight, or when we're setting up for the next team fight, our job is to make sure we're going into that fight with as many advantages as possible. Sometimes that's easy because we have 5 Q buttons that we can press and we can all just ult and that's our advantage. Sometimes the enemy feeds and we just get a kill early and that's our advantage. When that doesn't happen, which is what we should be accounting for because that's the situation where we have the most control over, it's not our guarantee that we're going to have ults every time. It's not a guarantee that the enemy's going to feed. We can't always play into that. What's more likely is we can use the map to our advantage. So defensively, again, we want to play for time, and we want to burn through resources that the enemy can send our way. When the enemy is ready to jump on us here, and then our reaction is just to play down here right afterwards, that's a really weak position we find ourselves in. That's good value from them that they can keep chasing. Versus when we're up here, and the enemy's rotating this way, and trying to get around to us, we see them coming, we react defensively just with baseline positioning, and we still have the ability to react defensively with our slide in either of these directions. In this case, we opted to re-aggress with it, which is also fine. We just have more control over the situation. We have more opportunities to outplay their commitment of resources, notably like the Doom when he dives in, or the Tracer or the Genji when they dash or blink in. and then we can outlast their resources. Just surviving their offensive resources is really important, because then we give ourselves time to equalize with our offensive resources, with our railgun, with our headshots, with our damage, with our ultimates, whatever it is. So I want to go through the rest of at least the other side a little bit here, because this was a pretty quick round. But what I'm noticing trending is that we are focused on constant uptime. And this is especially true pre-fight. And if this is what we're focused on during our attack, which is what I'm worried about. Okay, well, we're playing Genji now, so it's different. But if this is what we're focused on during our attack, what we're not going to be able to do is sync up aggressive resources with our team, and we're going to force too many early engages that don't benefit us. So another concept worth bringing up here. Let's go to the great whiteboard in the sky. Another concept worth bringing up here. Actually, you know what I did, guys? I bought the pro version of Epic Pen. Look, it's got a blackboard. So when we are trying to force, so here's value over time. Let's just write it out. Value over time. If we play with like this kind of expectation that we're constantly getting value, we're constantly spiking upwards, we're doing more and more and more and more, and we're killing and killing and killing, headshot, 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 that's pretty unrealistic for most situations, right? That's not a situation we can guarantee, because we'll miss. We'll get outplayed. The enemy will have more ults than us. We can't always win every situation. But this is the way we're playing when we take weak positions and we bank on early pressure to win out the fight for us. Because what's actually happening is, while we're expecting this, the moment we give up position, we fall down here. And then the moment we get jumped on after we've given up position, we die. So what's more realistic, let me just erase all this. What's more realistic is to play like this. Your value goes up and down throughout a team fight based on your exchanging resources. So you don't need 100% value right off the bat, but you should be in a position where it's like, okay, if I get jumped by Doom, I'm not expected to find value in that moment, but if I can slide away and then stay out of range of Doom and Tracer and Genji, now I can shoot my gun for a little while and not have to worry about risking my life. And then maybe I get a few shots off, and then if I kill 2 people, there goes my value. But if it not, I need to get ready to play defensively again. This is what a lot of people refer to as like the ebb and flow of a team fight, or even just of individual resources. You need to be willing to give and take positions, resource management, ultimates, whatever it is, depending on the situation. This is true of Sojourn, it's true of Genji, it's true of every hero in the game. You will have moments where you are stronger than the enemy and moments where you are weaker than the enemy. And you want to play for the moments where you're stronger. And when Doom, Tracer, and Genji all have full cooldowns and they see you at the front of their to-kill list and they're ready to commit everything on top of you, that's not a moment where you need to be outplaying them or getting headshots and out-trading them. That's a moment where you just need to survive. And then once you survive, you can spike later in the fight. All right, attacking first point. Mentioned this is a bit of a yikes, so let's see what happens. Fine so far. So, we're a little bit tunnel vision. Saw you pinging the Zen, so a round of applause for Traffic for pinging. Thank you. More people should be pinging. But we were so tunneled on getting to the Zen when from all the way back here, there's 0% chance we can get on the Zen. We're not going to walk through all this pressure. What we should be doing is walking like step by step by step to get across. We can do things underneath. We can work over here. We can wait for our Doomfist to get in and then all the attention to go to him and then we walk forward. But we are trying to break down a door with like limp wrists right now. We are just trying to walk our way forward through all of this pressure with no respect to the enemy's ability to do damage to us, without seeing a reason that the door is being opened for us by, for example, our Doomfist, and we get really over aggressive and just end up feeding. This is what happens when we try to play for maximum value all the time. We're playing very optimistically instead of waiting, okay, I can't do anything until my Doomfist goes in. I can't do anything until the enemy changes where their attention is. I can't do anything until I get better positioning. Swapping over to the Sojourn, playing for more range here. Not happy with our initial Genji play. That's okay. Sojourn's still a very good hero. Naturally gonna work slower when we're on Sojourn here. Trying to approach. Ooh, very scary. I like this development. It's not over-aggressive, but it's smart based on the Doomfist backing up. That's unfortunate that we got booped in there. Biggest thing here, more than anything, is just we're split. Our Doom is going in here, you're focusing your attention here, and then, as it turns out, this is where the biggest threat was. So anytime we're going aggressive, like even just like opting to shoot your rail into this Torbjorn, was there anything else you could have been looking for instead? Like, for example, the Zen that your Doom is engaging on. Again, we're kind of putting ourselves in the shoes where if I walk in and get a good railgun off and get a pick, we're going to win the fight just because we have numbers advantage. Which is good when the enemy is feeding and you find that shot easily. But when looking for an opportunity, sometimes it's just like right in front of our eyes. So I'm going to go back here. Rather than looking for this opportunity on the Torbjorn, find the opportunity that your Doomfist and Tracer are looking for. They are more aggressive playmakers than you are. They have more mobility. They have more burst, arguable. They have equivalent burst damage, but they're more likely to get into the enemy's face and get a fight started than you are. Even, especially after the nerfs from Sojourn, like your one-shot potential is weaker, sort of. So it's not on you to just like get a kill right away. It is on you to contribute positively to the team fight. So while I agree, this is a kill opportunity. If you hit that shot, in the head especially, that's definitely a kill. But if we instead play a little bit passive, save our rail charge for this moment right here, and we play a little bit safer because we're not sure where the Doom is, we're not sure where the Tracer is, maybe even we're playing over here because we're a ranged hero, we don't need to be up in close with our Tracer and with our Doomfist just now, then we notice this happen, and then it's just an easy body shot onto the Zen, guaranteeing a kill, and then we move on to the next target, and then the next, all while staying safe to enemy divers. So what's happening again, we're going for too much value too quickly without respecting the enemy's playmaking potential. Before we go and make a play of our own, we should be, number one, prioritizing our own safety, so we're outplaying things like the enemy's reach, we're not walking into kill zones and things like that, and then we should be looking to augment our teammates' opportunities before finding our own. Wait to see what your Doomfist does, rather than try and hope that he goes on the same target as you, or that you find a target all by yourself. Sometimes you will find those targets, but it's not because you're looking for the opportunity, it's because the opportunity will present itself to you. Nice little shots into the Zen there. And again, that was already much safer just because the angles that you were taking were less open and the enemy Doomfist was within visual range. You knew where the enemy Doomfist was. You knew he couldn't immediately punish you. He also just saw some of his cooldowns. So it's a lot easier to go for that commitment. Now you notice where your Winston's going and you can play off his bubble. We are very eager with the railgun, which is fair enough. But we could be a little bit more patient with it mechanically. Good pressure here, saving our shift if we need to play defensively. Okay, we don't need it. Yeah, now we just snowball here, hopefully. Oh, that's very good for us. And we slide away, nice. Yeah, even though we're dying here, taking Trance out of the team fight while Payload is still guaranteed to make progress and killing the Tracer. Nice job. Yeah, this is fine. This is just good snowballing. We've got Overclock the next fight. They don't have Trank. We don't need to force anything right now. We should be waiting for our Doomfist to find an opportunity. This is already, or not a Doomfist anymore, our Winston. This is already borderline risky. So, as a relatively squishy DPS, when you have other playmakers on the team, whether that's a Tracer or usually your tank in this situation, you don't want to be the first one knocking on the enemy's door, right? You don't want to be the first mole out of the molehill ready to be hit by the hammer. So the risk of taking an angle like this before you know what your Winston is doing, which, granted, your Winston's in a fine position to posture aggressively anyway, so this is relatively okay, but I didn't see you notice your Winston on your POV. Well, the risk here is that you just get punched by Doomfist in one shot, or you just get clipped by Tracer, or headshot by Kiriko, or right-click by Zen, which you have no control over if the enemy is available because this is a new angle you're peeking, and there's nothing else creating pressure at this moment. If this is an angle you're taking after Winston has jumped, even if you're not following up on Winston's target, it's at least something that the enemy is dealing with currently that hopefully takes attention away from what you're doing. You want to be free whenever you're firing, whenever possible. And the things that are going to make you free are team-wide pressure. The things that aren't going to make you free are weak positioning, like on the Payload right here, and wasting resources like sliding into an enemy team that you don't have any visuals on. So what did we do wrong here? We defaulted to poor positioning on the Payload. They are already thinking about contesting the payload. They are already looking at heroes like Lucio and Kiriko and Soldier. They already want to shut this location down, and by doing so, they're actively shutting you down as well. So, at this point, I would have rather seen you stay on the flank, or jump up here, be able to react to things, or at the very least, once Doomfist is committed here, get out of this location. Slide backwards, not double down into this position like this, and once again, we're turning our back to where the enemy is. This isn't obvious from our POV, but they are about to round this corner with a lot of damage. And while we are in a good location to try and punch the Doomfist, he's doing exactly what every tank should be doing, which is taking attention of the enemy team and opening up opportunities for his team to follow up. So, again, isolate the angle that we're paying attention to by not putting our back to the enemies. Save our cooldown usage to be making sure we're prioritizing safety #1, and take more advantageous positions where we're able to capitalize on attention spent by the enemy. They already were going to commit onto the payload whether or not you were there, so just don't be there, and then you can use your cooldowns more aggressively or later in the fight or more to your benefit rather than just defensively. Beating aggressively here. Again, I would have preferred to see more beneficial positioning, but we have so many ults that it doesn't matter. Again, all our job is to find an advantage in some way before the fight starts. Our advantage here was we had a lot of people who could press Q, and they did, and then we win. Unfortunately, we still underestimated a little bit of damage opportunity here, so this is really good follow-up. Obviously, this is like such a winning situation, like it's hard to mess this up, so we just go forward, do damage. Again, the situation here, we should notice the Kiriko over here. Slight threat that we're turning our back to. Again, the Torb turret, slight threat that we're turning our backs to. And I think it's the Kiriko that actually takes us down there. That looks like a headshot from Kiriko, right? Unless I'm crazy. She's right here. Let's see. Was it the Kiriko? No, it must have been the Torbjorn. You ate a hot Cheeto, and we ended up going down. But yeah, basically, you can do all of this pressure with the range that you have as part of your kit, without committing the same way your Winston is committing, or like a Genji would commit. But Genji would have more tools to outplay situations like that with more like reflect and mobility. But yeah, it's little things like that. I'm not gonna blame you for that death. That's unfortunate. It's a nice shot from the Torbjorn. Whatever, it happens. But it was also an unnecessary position that you were taking. Almost got him. Maybe still get him. Again, I think we can feel this is not a very interesting angle. Our soldier's going for a more aggressive angle. This is fine. But yeah, we're forced to work through. At the very least, we are waiting for a tank to engage now, or in this case, our soldier as well, going for the attack visor on the high ground. So we're able to play more safely because other members are playing more aggressively, which is good. And we're able to follow up very safely, and it's relatively straightforward. I do think, though, you could be looking more aggressively in terms of where on the map you position to try and create that advantage the same way your soldier was. But if it is the case that you noticed your soldier there and you didn't want to play on top of him, that's also a good decision. Again, here, no need to be even this close. No need to be within blink range or punch range of the Doomfist here, when you could be getting all of this value from back here, or working your way up here and just playing range. Unless you see your Winston going aggressive and you're trying to follow up on targets back here, there is no need to be in this front line here. It's only going to apparently kill the Tracer. Again, like even situations like this is just unnecessarily exposed. Granted, you have beat, so it's fine, but it's not necessary, and it's a potentially bad habit that we're forming. We're getting away with a lot of poor positioning based on good shots that we're hitting and stuff like that, and good pressure from our team, but we shouldn't be requiring those things for consistent playmaking potential. Alright, good pressure. Again, we don't need to force anything right now, but we can find something. The enemy's overexposed. I like that you found that without like committing too aggressively. We were still waiting for our hog to catch up. Reacting defensively with our slide there because of the pulse bomb. Nice shots on Lucio. Again, a lot of just like mild awareness things, like going aggressive here opens up a slight angle here. Jumping up here instead of landing on the high ground, dropping down, unfortunately opened up to a shot there from the turret, but like these are very minor things. We are winning with massive advantage. It's just these little things could potentially open up a door for the enemy to equalize and slow down your advantage. So it's usually better to just avoid those opportunities. In this case, we hit the shots, we got the kills, it didn't matter. In another case, we might not get those kills as quickly, we might accidentally go down to another hot Cheeto from Torb. That could be avoided with more discipline in those situations. Disruptor shot. Get him out of that corner, he's got nowhere to go.
Going somewhere?
We'll take that. Again, sometimes you'll find kills like this. I want to point out, like, every time you found these kills, like here or back at the end of second point, you weren't aggressively making a play for it. They just kind of happened. And this happens all of the time. And it'll usually happen because they're overcommitting to your tank and then you're free firing on them, or they're just feeding because people in rank feed. These opportunities are awesome, but you shouldn't be looking for them or depending on them. You shouldn't be actively moving around the map to try and find picks like this. Granted, like maybe if you're like Widow or Hanzo, it can be valid, but even then, like you want to play the long game. You don't want to play like, oh, I'm going to go and get a pick and we're going to win off that. That's not how you play Overwatch. You also don't want to be in a position where you need a pick like this to create any space. You need to be working on the map to create advantageous number advantages around certain areas of the map, or just positional advantages where you can surround enemies or outplay them based on your range and mobility. So I like this a lot. Like you're working really slow and you still just found a kill kind of randomly. And we take that for sure, but that's not something we depend on or something we explicitly play for. It just kind of happens sometimes. And this is what happens when we do, again, bank on too much value. There's nothing telling me here that you should be playing aggressive. You got that kill on Lucio, sure. We were trying to clean up the Doomfist, but we had committed cooldowns. After we commit those cooldowns, what are we here for? At the very least, we could be backing up to a position like this, or trying to see if we can commit back to a position like this. Or if we're willing to commit to this duel on Cassidy, we shouldn't be exposing to this angle, and we should be backing up like this at least, or even dropping down to the payload, waiting for our next set of cooldowns, waiting to take like a 2v1 and not force a 1v1, especially not at that range versus Cassidy. The dangerous part, the biggest danger and the most common problem that people face when finding themselves in duels like that is the biggest problem is that you're not the only one doing it. So like if multiple people on your team take those duels, if only one of you loses, that kind of spells a dead push because of how advantageous their spawn is. If just one of you loses to just a solo Doomfist or a lucky headshot from the enemy or accidentally walking into Torb or things like that, the whole push is dead. So it's about consistency across the board. And as long as you're playing the most consistent you can play, you'll be more ready to capitalize on situations that your team is creating for you, and you'll just be putting yourself in a better advantage state for longer during a team fight. Again, very weak position we're finding ourselves in here. Would have loved to see an opportunity to rotate up here with your Torb. This is much better space for you to be working with, more opportunities for closing the distance for mag grenades, more natural cover for good angles on the high ground and stuff like this, more opportunities to punish people like this with good natural cover again. Well, you have other people to touch the payload or create opportunities for you. We don't need to be forcing this as aggressively as we are. And it's looking like with the ult economy the way it is, we're not going to be able to progress much further. Just because there's no way for us to make a play from this position unless we hit every single shot and on demand. Yeah, it's rough. Maybe our team can edge this one out. Not likely. Not with the beat coming out. Nice try. GG. But yeah, the biggest things here, I'm not going to say you threw this match. It wasn't like you were obviously making mistakes or anything like this, but we are noticing some bad habits. The biggest bad habit we're noticing is the expectation of early value. And it's not that we don't play for early value ever, it's that we don't rely on early value. A position like this on defense relies on you getting a kill or forcing their cooldowns, not on you. But if they just avoid your damage and then they can commit Tracer, Genji, Doomfist on you, you are forced to play defensively and then forced into a poor position basically for the rest of the fight. Whereas a safer position might not find as much early value, but it guarantees that you can hold a better position for longer in a team fight and play for more shots the longer it goes on. And we notice this from the way they were forced to rotate to try and get on top of you and how much they had to commit to get on top of you, and you still were able to outplay them with just basic movement. So what I want you to learn from this VOD traffic is that you don't need to hard carry every single moment of the game. You don't need to go into a fight and say, like, if I don't get a kill right now, my team's going to feed and we're going to lose. Even if your team is feeding, even if your team is not providing any value, you still want to play off of them, and you still want to play for what makes sense during this whatever specific stage of a team fight. Whatever stage of the map we're on, whatever side attack or defense we're on, like, you want to play for the advantages that you can find. And typically, that revolves around your cooldown usage and your range. Play your range more as someone like Sojourn, play your cooldown usage smarter as someone like Genji, make sure you're getting value at the same time that makes sense for your team and for the positions around the map, and look to just outplay and outlast more often than just outplay. Because right now, we are outplaying a lot of situations. We're getting good shots up, we're getting good kills, but then we're ending up on the payload, and then we're not able to do anything after that first kill. Or we're not able to use our second set of cooldowns because we're forced to use them constantly defensively. We're never able to find our way to get aggressive again during a fight. So, yeah, I think that's it, actually. Thank you for the VOD. I hope that was helpful for you, Traffic. It started off as a little bit of a roasting session, but I think we got some good points across at the end. There are tons and tons and tons of little micro things I could bring up, like just our shift usage in general, our disruptor shot usage, our railgun usage we were using very aggressively, and things like that very early on, when we could be saving it for just a second or two, and things like that. But overall, the story that we saw today was we're trying too hard. We're trying too hard to create an advantage in terms of just doing damage, instead of looking for more slower advantages like playing with our team more, playing the map smarter, outplaying enemy defensive cooldowns or mobility cooldowns, things like that, and outlasting the enemy. It's not about the first shot, it's about how many shots you can take.